Well, another post game and another victory post game podcast of Banditland Boulevard. Trevor Howard, Tony LaMonica's over there. Dude, it was the battle of the 1 seed and the 2 seed in the honky tonk that was Banditland at the KeyBank Center. The Bandits, they don't just beat the second place team, solidify first place for now, and get a little safety net there in the standings to be first place in the league. They also put up 19 goals on the Philadelphia Wings, another team that the Bandits just seem to dominate, at least over the past few seasons. They beat the Wings again at home. This time, it's not one of those bite your nails type of overtime games in Banditland. It was a pretty comfortable lead there throughout most of the game. It kind of got a little bit, kind of got a little hairy there in the late third quarter, early fourth, but the Bandits came out with a big 5-goal victory. And if I remember correctly, Tony, you predicted the Bandits winning by 5, and
That's
that is
true.
exactly what they did. I said I will not complain if they won by 5 against the second place team in the league. So I'm not going to complain today. It's a game of runs. Teams are going to go on their runs. It's a part of the game. 19-14 against the Philadelphia Wings. Tony, the Bandits are 5-0 and are in first place solo right now. And the next team that they have below them is the Philadelphia Wings, who, by the way, are 5-2 and have 2 games in hand. The Bandits have set themselves up perfectly in the standings through the first 5 games.
Yes, they have. They have made themselves well known about being a championship caliber team. And yeah, there were a couple games, the last 2 games, with Toronto and with now Philadelphia, giving up double-digit goals. But their offense is so sick that our own defense is scoring goals. That's what's so scary about it. And even though we had the first 3 games, 2 against Rochester, 1 against Ottawa, but with the fact of keeping them under 10. But now we're starting to come to the realization that, you know what? It doesn't have to be just about the defense that wins games. The offense can contribute. But the fun part about this squad here, this team, and how everyone is now wanting to jump on board on the scoring sheet is so scary to other teams that you cannot just stop your main 2 guys. It is the whole roster now is dangerous, and it's so scary to say which opponent's going to want to never play Buffalo again in this league. You have to tell yourselves that. But on the circumstances with what you just told me about with the prediction of having that 5-goal deficit, I said 16-11. It was 19-14 final. And you know what? If the big put your foot down on the gas pedal was going to be the case just to make yourselves stay coast to coast, whatever, to the end, fine. But as long as you have a kind of goal lead like that, that's okay. But do not give up so easily because, like you said, it's a game of runs.
Yeah, the only thing that matters is winning the game. Winning the game
That's
is
right.
exactly what they've did, and they've done it 5 straight times. They are currently the only unbeaten team in the National Lacrosse League, and by far
How sweet
in
it is to
first
even say that.
first place in the NLL. And it just feels right for the back-to-back champs to be at the very top. And you mentioned everybody scoring,
Except
everybody
one.
scoring. And when we say everybody contributing, we pretty much mean virtually everyone. Uh,
On that list.
obviously, the star player of the game was Josh Byrne.
Absolutely.
6 goals, I believe. Maybe it was 5
7.
through. Was it 5 in the first half that he scored? I
He
think it was
had,
either
yes,
5 or 6 in the first half. I have
alone.
it right in front of me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He scored 6 in the first half. He's got a
He had a
first half
sock trick
sock
in the
trick
first half alone.
at halftime on pace to scoring 12 goals in that game, and
Yep.
ended up with 7. And I believe
Yep.
he led the team in points. Well, he
12.
definitely led with shots on goal with 15, but yeah, led the team in points with 12,
Yep.
and cashed in 7 times out of 15 shots on net. That is the number 1 key player who got a huge piece of the pie. I thought we were going to see historic numbers in Banditland. Then they jumped out to a 16-7 lead, and Josh Byrne really wasn't peppering the net as much as he was in the beginning. But,
Mhm.
man, after that first half, he was on pace to scoring 12 goals in that game. What do you even call a triple hat trick? I mean, we saw the Sox raining down at KeyBank Center in the first half. What is a triple hat trick called? Like, if anyone out there knows, has there ever been? I don't think there's ever been a triple hat trick in the National Lacrosse League. But if there is a player out there, it's probably somebody on this team that's probably going to figure out what that exactly is. Josh Byrne, the number one contributor. How about Cam Wires scoring his first National Lacrosse League goal on a breakaway on a great feed from Matt Spanger? He got a big piece of that goal scoring pie. Chase Fraser coming back with a second quarter goal. Steve Priolo, the captain on the top of the crease, just chilling there, shoveling in the trash there in the back of the net. Paul Dawson getting his first goal as a Buffalo Bandit in front of the home crowds. That was awesome to see as well. Ian McKay extending his goal-scoring streak. That was awesome to see too. And welcome back Chris Cloutier. Chris Cloutier on his first game back off the injury reserve pots in 2 goals, which was awesome to see. And while the Bandits did start to lead, let the Philadelphia Wings back in the game. There's a reason why the Wings are the second-ranked team in the league right now. They go on runs like that. So I really wasn't surprised when I saw them make a 16-7 deficit turn into, what was it at the time, 16-13 lead. They went on a 6-0 run there in the second half, in the late third, early fourth. And the game was pretty much called when they got a little stupid at the end of the game, took some dumb penalties. I believe one of them took an unsportsmanlike penalty to set them up for a double minor. And Chris Cloutier and Teho Kananakoke put the game away with 2 power play goals to win the game 19-14 for the Bandits. This is dangerous for the league to see. Like, we just talked about secondary offenses. We talked about, the key guys on offense that are going to be scoring a lot of goals. I think Cam Wires was sitting there going, what about me, guys? Paul Dawson, the same way. Steve Priolo, the same way. And I told you this when we were interviewing John Gertler. I told you this in the beginning of the season. This team is playing with a pissed-off attitude in your face. It's almost like they lost the championship and they want to take their angry revenge on every team that steps in front of them until they get back to the championship. Tony, this is a team that's won back-to-back titles, and they're looking more dangerous by the week. Now, we can talk about Matt Vince coming off of, couple back-to-back games where, he could have had a better second half. But when your offense is producing the way they are, when your team can score in the clutch moments, when you go from a 9-goal lead down to a 3-goal lead, and you finish it off with 2 power play goals, 2 special teams goals, because before that fourth quarter, their special teams was bad. Their power play wasn't producing anything. They clutched up, they sacked up, they scored those 2 goals, put the game away. They limited on defense Joe Reziteritz as much as they possibly could. Same with Mitch Jones. What did he get on the score sheet? Once, maybe twice?
He ended up with 7 points, 2 goals, 5 assists.
Yeah, 2 goals for Mitch Jones. That's not anything unordinary. You got the starting goaltender, Nick Demude, who absolutely dominated this team the last time they played each other. You got him, and you got him early. He was questioning every shot that they made. They yanked him out of the net like 2 or 3 different times.
Yep.
Tony, what makes this Bandits team so dangerous this year when they could easily just put their hands up and say, hey, this is a great run that we went on, but hey, all great runs come to an end. What is making this team be like, we want this next one, we want the one after that, we want the one after that? Because this is virtually the same team from last year, a team that struggled a lot of last year.
Yeah, I think a lot of it would come to as game planning, like Johnny Tavares would say. Depending on who they play, they take one game at a time, and they figure out which is the strong points and which are the weak points of every team. And they have exploited Philadelphia in the first half alone by scoring 13 points in that first half alone to say, look, you either step up your game and play as strong as we did, or you're going to be walked over and the league's going to see it for their first hand. And the scary part about it is our defense only giving up 5. I was expecting that, but it kind of went away a little bit because Philadelphia is one of those high-powered scoring teams too that can score at will at any time. Holden Catoni leading the way with his hat trick and 5 assists. Joe Reziteritz never missing a beat guy, even though you contained him to only 2 goals, still ended up with 8 points. But these are guys that don't stop until the final buzzer, and you've got to contain their talent and their game plan to come attack back on your defense, because after watching that first half, it didn't seem like the Bandits were playing as themselves in the second, even though they kept a pace where it's like, all right, We're not gonna lose this quarter by much because we've gained so much ground in the first half alone. But you got to play from start to finish. That's the only thing. But getting to your comment about how dangerous this team is, it is because they've accepted the fact that they have one game plan and it's working. It's not about the individual anymore. It's about what's best for the team. And they're playing as one. And if teams see this and go, we can do that too, things might change. But right now, how good and talented that this Buffalo team has gelled as a family, it is so hard to beat a family. And let me tell you, the Bandits have proved that 5 straight times so far this year, and waiting for the next opponent to go, we got to play Buffalo again?
Yep.
That's
No,
the scary
exactly.
part.
That is the extremely scary part. I mean, when you think of a team that's connected within, how many other teams can score 10 goals in a quarter? The Bandits
Rare,
potted
like
in
it's rare to see that.
when there are teams that struggle to score 10 in an entire game. The
Right.
Bandits potted in 10 in the second quarter.
So sick.
I mean, they were averaging what? So you do the math there, 15 divided by 10. That's right around a goal every minute and a half.
About right.
Yeah, every minute and a half, a goal is scored. That's insane to even think about. And all it took was that one. I mean, I kind of had the understanding, okay, 3-1 after one. This might be one of those low scoring type of trap games. Then Chase Fraser comes out a minute and a half into the second, and that's when the floodgates really open. Josh Byrne, Steve Priolo, Josh Byrne again, Paul Dawson, Josh Byrne again, Ian McKay, Dane Smith, Josh Byrne again, and Chris Kluche. 10 goals in the second quarter.
So sick.
Insane. Going into halftime with a 13-5 lead. I do agree with you, Tony, when you say, this team shouldn't really jog towards the end, or at least in the third quarter. Honestly, I said I wasn't going to complain, but it kind of seemed like in the third quarter they started to jog a little bit, and they really weren't pressing on defense as much as they were in the first and second, giving players like Caputo and Joey Rezateras clear lanes to shoot. And when you give those guys clear lanes to shoot, they're going to bury 99% of the time. And it wasn't just them, it was Blaze Reardon who found his goal scoring touch against the Bandits too.
Sure did.
Mitch Jones, Phil Caputo. I mean, it was pretty much the same rotation. Sam LeClaire got on the board a couple times in that game too. So 3 goals. Yep. But again, like I said before, this is the Philadelphia Wings. There's a reason why they're the second place team in the NLL. They go on runs like this all the time. It's about how you address those runs and how you can stop them and really just stop the bleeding. And the Bandits took advantage of dumb penalties that they took towards the end of the game and cashed in on their power play opportunities. I will say Philadelphia has one of the best power plays in the National Lacrosse League, bar none. I mean, when the way that they work the ball around, if you take a penalty, you might as well just cope with it already that you're probably giving up a goal. They went 3 for 3 on the power play, and they really didn't seem to look back. If you take a dumb penalty against Philadelphia, it's a death sentence for your team. Whether it's a 2 or a 5 or whatever, some sort of man advantage, it's a death sentence when you're facing against a team like the Wings. I will tip my cap to them on that because they have a very good run power play there. I believe they have Tracy Kelusky there on the coaching staff, and they have Pat McCready on the defensive coaching staff. So, a couple players that we know very well from the Bandits organization, and they're doing some good things over there. They're now 5-2. They split. They had a doubleheader this weekend. Bandits on Saturday, and they had the Vancouver Warriors on Monday. They lost one and they won one. They're still second in the league with a 5-2 record, but they do have a couple of games in hand, and the Bandits own the head-to-head tiebreaker. So that's why it was so important to win that game at home against the Philadelphia Wings. I don't care who it is against. When you score 19 goals on any team in the NLL, that is a punch in the face, and I think other teams need to respect that. And if there isn't a team out there, if there is a team out there that doesn't respect the Bandits, I love to meet them because I know that there's a gigantic target on their back. They're not looking back, though, Tony. They just want to keep this winning thing going.
Yeah, and like you said, the way the Bandits are playing is we're not going to turn our heads back and be like, okay, you know what? There were some flaws, but if we're winning games, keep moving forward. That's all we can basically keep doing. against for Philadelphia, and what because it was had to be rescheduled due to the Philadelphia Eagles scheduling, so they had to get moved to Monday. And yes, they brought their A game back in the right moment at the right time to redeem themselves and get back on the winning ways. But for the Bandits' sake, yet we still have another bye week before we have to play Albany, and that's I don't know if that's a good thing to have these bye weeks now and then go on a streak of games later. I mean, but now hopefully we can gel into a rhythm and a system to say, okay, we're playing every week. We don't have to worry about the bye. Let's just stay focused, stay healthy as much as possible, and keep playing as we're playing. Because it's like like you said, we have a huge target on our back. It's because we have won back-to-back titles, and the fact that now we look more dangerous than ever, and we could possibly three-peat this season coming up if this keeps going for the Bandits.
It's a real possibility, Tony. I mean,
It's a very good
5 and
possibility.
0 is a great start to a season, but we play 18 of these things, so we got to take it a game at a time.
That's
And
right.
you're gonna see some ebbs and flows in a season. Maybe the offense has a game or two or three where they're not clicking, something's
Mm-hmm.
not going right there, and they might lose a couple games. And
Possible.
great teams in the NLL in this 18 game format, great teams still lose 5 games. I mean, I would consider your team great if you finish 13-5,
Yep.
14-4, 12-6 is a damn good record too. And that was
Sure
what
is.
I projected. That was what I projected the Bandits' record to be at the end of the year, 12-6. They finished 11-7 last year, and
Yep.
they virtually brought every single one back. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to stay in that ballpark, 12-6. We didn't see this type of in-your-face "fu" attitude from the Bandits last year until pretty much their playoff hopes were on the line when they had to pretty much win out the rest of the year after losing in Panther City, and to get that home quarterfinal matchup. That was when we kind of saw that attitude. They haven't lost a game, Tony, and I mean obviously with the offseason included, but 10 calendar months. They haven't lost
Wow.
a game. They swept the playoffs last year. They
Yep.
swept the last 4 or 5 games of the season last year, and
Yep.
they've won the first 5 this year. They
Mm-hmm.
they literally haven't lost a game. I don't know the exact date. Maybe somebody who's listening or watching this does. When they face against a now defunct team was the last team they lost to in the Panther City Lacrosse Club, which this is definitely rivaling the 1993 streak.
It could
Whatever
be.
streak they went on, when they went on 22, or what did they win 22 games in a row, and then they lost to Boston, and then the whole brawl in '94 happened. This streak is definitely rivaling that one, and I love seeing it, especially coming off of back-to-back titles, similar to that of '92 and '93 when they went on that undefeated run. They were going for the three-peat in '94. Shades of the '90s here is what you're seeing. I mean, they're rocking the '90s threads. They're blowing teams out. They're scoring a crap ton of goals. This is almost a. I mean, this has the potential to be more of a dynasty than the '90s ever was. I mean, '92 they won, '93 they won, '96 they won. They won 3 titles in 5 years. The Bandits are looking for their 3rd title in 3 years. And if
Yep.
they do solidify that title by, kicking teams' ass like the Philadelphia Wings, who were 2nd in the NLL, I
Mm-hmm.
think you got a good shot.
Yeah, I believe so too. Because the way how they're playing like you have to beat us to win it. You have to, it's like we're the champs. If you want to be on top of the mountain, you got to take us down somehow. And right now, they're not looking like they want to go anywhere. They're looking
Right.
like they want to stay on top of the mountain for a very, very long time and be like, well, this is getting kind of boring standing up here by ourselves. So, is there anybody that has a shot at beating this team? Doesn't seem like it because right now, no team so far has proven themselves to be like they could beat the Buffalo Bandits. And I hate to sound to say like that it's early because again, this is 5 games in of 18, so we're almost at a third of the way part because we have to play Albany on February 1st coming up.
Yeah, I got
But
another bye week.
we got another bye week, and then we got to play Albany February 1st. But I think that'll be the pinnacle moment for the Buffalo Bandits to say, all right, we've won the first third of our games so far, and we haven't even had to break a sweat to worry about making playoffs. But we're not going to even talk about that either. Right now, like we said, we've always said this on our podcast. It's one game at a time. Focus on the opponent that you're facing at the moment. You don't want to worry about the next person or the next or who's going to beat who for you. It's right now you're at the top of the mountain, and the only thing you're doing is looking down on your opponents, going anytime now.
As of right now, yes, absolutely. Looking down, there are teams that, that have gotten off to a very slow start, like
Yeah.
Toronto, and they're
Yes.
looking straight up, and they're like, "Oh, we can't catch these guys unless
Right.
they go on a historic run here, and the Bandits something catastrophic happens with them." But I will say, going back to the Wings and Bandits game, Honky Tonk Night, being up in the press box for that one,
Yep.
that was a great game, great atmosphere. I'm a big country music fan, so
Oh.
that was like my element there. Heard a lot of good stuff. Although, I mean, the whole crowd clapping to Mountain Music by Alabama, that was phenomenal. Calling Baton Rouge by Garth Brooks when that's playing, dude, I'm always bumping my head and stuff too. A lot of Toby Keith. So shout out the Bandits for paying homage to a great fallen country legend in Toby Keith. They were
Yep.
playing Big and Rich was playing Coming to Your City when they're shouting out Buffalo. I mean, there was a lot of great music there. They know how to put on a great show. When there's a theme night, the Bandits never disappoint. Honky Tonk Night was great. I thought the in-arena events that they were doing on the Jumbotron was great. You had everybody dressed up in their cowboy hats and stuff. I mean, it's a Bandits game. You're going to see cowboy hats regardless, but the
Right.
overalls, the cowboy boots, the spurs they were wearing. I mean, great showing and great looking goals from both teams. I know Sam LeClaire hit an underhand backhand shovel shot goal that ended up being the number one play of the week on NLL.com. And that was a big goal. I will say, I mean, this might sound a little bit biased because this is a Bandit show, but Josh Burns' underhand goal with one hand on the stick through the legs, I
Yep.
thought that was a touch better than I'll give Sam LeClaire his stripes. It's hard to shoot an underhand shot when you have. I'm watching the video right now. Who's got their when you got Paul Dawson cross checking you on the numbers and launching you forward, and you have Matt Vince in the net trying to stop that ball. I'll give you your stripes. That's a great goal that you scored, and really saved that Matt Vince should have made there. I do think the number one play of the week should have been Josh Burns, one hand on the stick. I couldn't tell if it was through the legs, but underhand shovel shot that went through the goalie's legs, Nick DeMood's
Yep.
legs. I know that for a fact. Sitting up in the press box, I was just dumbfounded. Jaw almost hit the desk in front of me. I'm like, nah, I mean, pick your jaw up. This is just Josh Byrne being Josh Byrne. He does this every single week. The socks that were raining down, Tony. I mean, did you ever expect a second quarter sock trick? I've never seen it in
No.
my life going to Bandits games.
Mm-mm.
Now, I wasn't around for the 90s, but back in the 90s there'd be games where the Bandits have scored 25, 26 goals in a game. Don't get me
Right.
wrong, but when you see it in the modern day and how talented this league has evolved, well, talent-wise, how much this league has evolved, it's
Mhm.
not just a glorified beer league anymore with just, guys that want to fight every now and then. No, every team has a crap ton of skilled players. You have your modern day Casey Powells. I would consider Josh Byrne to be a modern day Casey Powell on the lacrosse floor. I mean, he's phenomenal. But yeah, like I was saying before, a second quarter sock trick, stuff I've never seen before in this game, going to this live. A 10 spot in a single quarter and a second quarter sock trick. And I mean, I remember going to the New Year's Eve game a couple years ago where Josh Burns scored a sock trick. I maybe saw one, two pairs of socks on the turf. No, it wasn't raining down the way that it was last Saturday night, I'll tell you that. But just an amazing overall experience. Definitely my favorite game I've been to this season. I've only been to two, but I think this is my favorite game I've been to all season long. Just looking at the team you're facing against, the fact that you scored damn near 20. If you really tried there at the end of the game, you could have potted in 20, 21 goals.
Of course.
Um, Punching a team in the mouth is what I'm trying to say. The
Pretty
second
much.
place team. Oh, you guys thought you were going to catch us? Boom. Punched it right in the mouth. And a game that was fairly called down the middle. How many times can we say that? I will tip my cap because I get crucified all the time in the comments on Bandits Mafia by the usual suspects. They usually jump on me for harping on the refs too much. But this season, Tony,
Hmm.
they have looked very good in these games. They've been calling games down the middle. They've been letting the guys play more than anything. Not everything is a penalty anymore. And we call them out when they're at their lowest level and when they're doing their faults and stuff like that, when they're making the missed calls and when they're calling everything a penalty. But when they're doing their job, I think it's only fair to tip your cap to them because they're actually doing their job. It's only fair.
Yeah, I would agree. It's the fact that, I didn't expect a big penalty minute type game against these two teams. It was going to be like the high flying, high scoring type that we were expecting. And, 33 goals combined, it says it itself. But with the referees too, you letting them play, they were making smart plays. They were making some good defensive plays. And the way the referees were allowing it to go. And it was just, you know what? It was a good, fun game to watch, an actually exciting game to watch because of how it was not just controlled and not how it was, uh, favoritism or leaning one side to the other. It was perfectly well balanced. It was a great game to go watch. It was very entertaining because like everybody was on dress up mode that day, and the Bandits and the Wings put on a great show. So kudos to everything that just went that night. It was a fantastic evening.
Yeah, 3 penalties by the Bandits, 3 penalties by the Wings. The Wings took a double minor, so if you want to count that as 4 penalties. I mean, it was pretty much called evenly down the middle. The only bad call I can think of all season long through 5 games
Mm-hmm.
was the call last week where Josh Byrne got pulled down by Billy Hostrauser and he got a penalty somehow. But
Right.
it's one of those things like where if you're not standing in the right spot, you don't know what's going on. Maybe your vantage point wasn't in an ideal spot and it may have looked like something. I mean, these guys have been calling the games like the NHL playoffs do. Everything is let go. It has to be egregious. I think that's kind of how it should be in the
Yeah.
National Lacrosse League. That's really how it should be. It's a physical, it's a freaking man, it is a sport where it's just so demanding on your body.
Yep.
And the fact that in, 2025 they're letting these guys do their thing. It has to be egregious to be a penalty. Shades of the 90s. I'm loving the direction of where the sport is going, where this league is going. And I think the only thing on top of that, what we need, Tony, is we need more theme nights like this in Banditland. We need to kick more teams' ass in Banditland. And we need to prove to the league that, hey, you see what we just did against the second best team? Bring it on. That's all you got. We're going to pound our chest until someone gets up here and beats us.
Yep.
Because when you win your first title in 15 years,
Mm-hmm.
it's special and it's humbling at the same time. You're like, we finally did this. You're going to go into next season with this attitude of if you win, great. If you lose, well, you got the title last year. The Bandits have
Right.
earned the right to play cocky, to be cocky. They won back-to-back titles. They're at the top of the league, looking for number 3 in a row. I think they have all the reason in the world to be talking smack to any team that comes into that building because they have not only do they talk the talk or should they be talking the talk, they have walked this walk multiple times. Would they go in 2023 14-4, I think 14-4 and then 11-7 back-to-back titles, beating the Mammoth and beating the Firewolves, 2 very tough teams in the finals, beating them both.
Yep.
I'm saying, being humble is nice. The Bandits don't have to be humble anymore, Tony. Any team that comes into their house, beat the living daylights out of them. Why? Because you can.
Yep.
Because the Bandits absolutely can.
Yeah, and that's what championship caliber teams do. Is that if you allow a team to keep continuing to be successful at what they are doing, this is the type of attitude you have to face. And yes, there are players that will get cocky. There are players who will stay humble. But the fact is, if you can't beat a team that continuously wins and consistently wins every single season, how in God's name are you going to beat them? Because there's no chance in hell. You can have every elite player. If you cannot beat the team itself, you guys don't stand a chance at even becoming champion or even being a part of the finals if you cannot find a way to beat them. So I say kudos to the Bandits. Do what you do best, and then stick to the plan. It's working. If it's not broke, don't fix it. And for teams like that, still trying to figure it out, you're going to be at the bottom of the barrel looking up, going, God, if we can only just figure it out. But they won't unless they change. And that's the thing the Bandits don't have to, and that is never to change their game style and just stick with the plan.
And with that, I mean, I had them being, I would say top 4 in the National Lacrosse League, hosting a quarterfinal matchup. I thought winning 2 was difficult. winning 3, I figured would have been even more difficult. But the way that they drafted, I predicted that they would have a better record overall. You'd have more people coming back from injuries, more of a healthy team. Didn't really expect much, or didn't know what to expect with another year of Matt Vince. I mean, outside of maybe a couple quarters, he's looked like a bona fide great goalie. Still looking like the 2010s decade version, the Rochester Nighthawk version of Matt Vince. So I don't have a problem with that at all. It is 5-0 start. I didn't expect this. I don't think you expected this. I don't think the casual Bandit fan really expected this. Like,
no.
Wow, they went 11-7 last year. The Bandits have pretty much won half of their games they've won last year already through 5 games.
That's right. And that's
look at it from that perspective. Look at it from that perspective.
I love it. I just can't wait. I can't wait for the next game already. I'm so stoked for that. But I'll be away, which sucks. But hey, what are you going to do?
Yeah, you're going to get a pregame from me, and maybe I can bring someone on for the pregame too, Tony. What do you say?
You may do that.
Yeah, that's what we're going to try to do. Tony's going to miss the game, but somebody's got to be there in section 119 to be, filling in his shoes. I mean, he's got the bandana, he's got the box and everything. It's a rematch of the 2024 finals. We'll have the preview right here for you on Banditland Boulevard. I think this should go into our player of the game, Tony.
Yep.
It seemed like everybody had a piece of that pie, of that goal-scoring pie. Maybe outside of a couple players, but I mean, your guess is as good as mine as far as player of the game is concerned. I will say that that being basic sometimes is being all right. And when I see a first half sock trick and you win that game and you put up damn near 20 goals, my player of the game is going to be 22 gauge Josh Byrne. I mean, without a shadow of a doubt, he was on something that night. I mean, I don't know what was in the water he was drinking, but everything he was shooting seemed to go into the back of the net. He pretty much owned Nick DeMood's number. And it's hard to beat a goalie with that caliber that Nick DeMood has. And just ask the Bandits from last year. They had a tough time scoring on him. And the fact that they can go in there, get a convincing win against Philadelphia, led by number 22. I don't know, Tony. Maybe in the next couple seasons, maybe slap an A on his jersey or something like that.
Yeah.
As long as Steve Priolo's still here, he ain't giving up that C. But, I feel like he needs to have some serious recognition. I mean, well, he's got all the recognition in the world with the Dan and Josh show and stuff like that. But maybe slap another letter on that jersey wouldn't hurt. But yeah, Josh Byrne is my player of the game for sure.
Yeah, MVP of last season, and now he's looking like the MVP of this season. He's on pace to break his own records, and it's so sick to see how, right now he's at a 4+ goals a lead than last year right now as we state. Assist-wise, just unbelievable. Just he's an all-around playmaking, goal-scoring threat to every team possible known to man, and that is one of the best choices I would have said to myself. But you know what? It's the little battles that fight to win games like this. I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm not going to say it's a person who had the high scoring or the mediocre scoring. I'm talking about getting gritty, and I mean fighting for every loose ball, fighting your opponent to break away and cause turnover after turnover after turnover. I'm talking about Clay Scanlon.
What a beast.
Clay Scanlon is the new beast of Kyle Buchanan's understudy. And the fact that Kyle Buchanan fights for those loose balls, you have 2 people doing it. Clay Scanlon has shown he works every shift out there known to man. He doesn't have to score all the points. He got an apple for the game, and that was it. But you know what he did? He caused turnovers, got loose balls. He showed that he can keep the offense on the floor as long as possible to get the defense on the opposing team tired. And you know what? Having somebody like Kyle Buchanan's understudy like that and just gelling immediately after a few games played, good grief, this kid's going to be good in the future.
Yeah, he also left Chris Swenson speechless when he took on 4 guys at once and still came out with the ball and got a shot on net. 4 guys
got the shot on net. Unreal.
Got the shot on net. Chris Swenson didn't even know what to say. He was just beside himself. Like I didn't know what to say either.
I'm like, the mic drop.
That was insane. That was absolutely insane to me.
Drop.
Yeah, Clay Scanlon is a surprisingly great player on this team. I mean, I really didn't know what to expect out of him. I believe he was drafted by another organization, not the Bandits, and the Bandits kind of picked him up off of free agency, I believe, and they're like, okay,
Smart.
we can plug and play you in any sort of spot you want. Oh, look, Chris Kluche goes down. Here's your audition, kid. Go out there and score. He goes
Yep.
out there and gets points. He got a multiple assist game against Ottawa. He scored a couple against the Rochester Nighthawks. He got down. He got gritty against the Toronto Rock and the Philadelphia Wings. I will tell you that right now. Yeah, Clay Scanlon's a great pull by you. And how about honorable mention here, Connor Farrell. Now, if you guys
The
are,
milkman.
if you guys, the milkman, right? If you guys are loyal listeners of this show, all we want is 45 to 50% in the face-off dot. We're simple guys. This dude gets 65%, wins 24 of 37 face-offs. And every time he won the face-off, you'd hear he needs some milk. I love that. Whoever put that in to the sound system, DJ, yeah, hats off to you, because that's an insane pull. Made me laugh every single time, and we heard that 24 times. Connor Farrell, not only is he a beast of a human being, he's an intimidation factor on the face-off dot. You see the size of that guy? You see the size of his legs? I mean, that dude is a menace, and he uses his body. He plays in the trenches. He gets down, he gets dirty. He fights in the mud with you to get that ball to set his team up for more possessions, more goal-scoring opportunities. Connor Farrell is one of the backbones of this team, and the fans love him. Every time they win a faceoff, I see fans pounding on the glass for Connor Farrell. I saw a couple Connor Farrell jerseys in the 300 level when I was there. This dude is a fan favorite, and definitely an honorable mention for player of the game, because we said it a lot last year, Tony, when we were lacking in the faceoff dot. We love guys that can win faceoffs in this team,
Absolutely.
and I'm sure the whole fan base does as well. An amazing pull from Steve Dietrich. Great move signing him to a couple-year deal. And Connor Farrell, man, he really showed out. 65% against the second-best team in the National Lacrosse League is insane work.
Yep. And Connor Farrell has got more and more tests ahead of him, especially with the next game coming up against Joe Nardella. He's going to have a very, very tough task to defeat him in the faceoff dot.
Joe Nardella gave him some headaches there in the finals.
To a great faceoff guy, and hats off to Max Adler when we had him too for the championship run.
He may have been the best, Tony.
For the fact that Farrell has adapted something that has just turned him into a beast mode, and it's so good to see, him to take control of this game and to get us the ball in the beginning or every faceoff that's known to man. And just the fact that 65% is huge numbers, especially in the dot when we've been struggling for the past, quite a few seasons now. Farrell has been that guy now. He is our new Fogo and forever will be our Fogo.
Yeah, and I think Max Adler and Connor Farrell are two different players. I mean, they both won a lot of faceoffs. Max Adler is more of a finesse kind of guy. Let me win the faceoff and book down the field and get an outlet pass. Connor Farrell is, let me just get a clamp on this ball, shove you out of the way, and just send it backwards, and hopefully one of my guys can get it. Or sometimes he picks it up himself and tries to take it in on a goal-scoring opportunity. Connor Farrell also got an assist in this game, too. Picked up a point with the Bandits on Saturday night as well in front of the Honky Tonk crowd that was the KeyBank Center. That was a great game. 19-14, the Bandits are 5-0 on the year, looking to take on the Albany Firewolves on, was it Saturday, I believe? Saturday, 7:30, February 1st. It's going to be a great game. And a game that everybody should be buying their tickets for, because guess what, guys? It's a rematch of the 2024 NLL Finals, and it's the Bandits and the Albany Firewolves. The Bandits haven't beaten the Albany Firewolves in a regular season game. Man, I'll talk more about this on the preview, but was it Kyle Buchanan's overtime goal game? No, there had to be a time after that. 2023, the last game of the season. They beat them in MVP Arena. I believe it was 15 or 16-10, something like that. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but the last two that I could think off the top of my head, regular season wins, were both on the road. When was the last time this team won a regular season game against the Albany Firewolves at home? You might find out on February 1st, depending on how the injury reports look and depending on how the guys look that night. But yeah, we will talk about that on the preview. But the Bandits get a big victory against the Philadelphia Wings, 19-14. Tony, huge W. Time to shout out the sponsors.
All right. Guys, we'd like to thank our main sponsor, and that is Mitchell's Tavern, located at 734 Sheridan Drive up in Tonawanda, New York. Guys, if you haven't tried it yet, go check it out. Mention the boys here at Banditland Boulevard. That is Trevor Howard, myself, Tony LaMonica, and tell them that they sent us to see who's got the best beef in Wick on town. And
Yep.
I'm telling you guys, the food is great. The service is just as amazing as the food. So let them know and get out there and check it out. Also, we'd like to thank Herney's Journeys for those who want to book their next adult trip on Virgin Cruise Line. Please contact Suzanne Pike at Herney'sJourneys.com. Let us book your next big adventure. And for those of watching us here on YouTube, please give us that like, subscribe, and just join our channel for Banditland Boulevard as we talk nothing more about Buffalo Bandits lacrosse. And let me tell you, it's growing because I've seen more and more people watching, and we can't thank you all enough for what you guys do. And please give us that rating, hit the notification bell every time you hear about Buffalo Bandits lacrosse. Also, we'd like to thank those who are listening in on every device known to man on Spotify. Give us that 5-star rating to talk all about your Buffalo Bandits lacrosse needs.
Yes, sir. Couldn't have said it better. Bandits are 5-0. First place in the NLL. That is where the Bandits belong. And teams have to prove that they can hang with these guys if they want a shot at the championship. You don't like the Bandits winning back-to-back titles? Do something about it. Maybe get a little bit better. Find a way to stop us. Now, there are 13 games left in the season. This is a perfect start, though.
Coming up.
Perfect start through a third of the season. And I will take that 101 times out of 100, if that's even possible. I will take that a 101 times out of 100. A 5-0 start is always something that we love to see. And Tony, I think we pretty much said it all. 1914 in front of a Honky Tonk country crowd at the KeyBank Center in Banditland. We will see you February 1st as the Bandits take on the Albany Firewolves. I can't wait for that rematch. It's going to be great. If they truly have that salty taste in their mouth, you better bring it at the KeyBank Center. And also excited to see Dyson Williams, too. Sean Williams' kid that plays for Albany. I can't wait to see that. But we got 3 words.
Guys, I know I won't be here this week, but I will definitely represent when I go on my trip. So I'll have this shirt for everybody, just so y'all know. So I hope
Buffalo
you guys
Bandits
all enjoy.
Road crew.
I'm going to bring the road crew to the trip with me. So if you guys don't know, kudos out to Michelle Hoagland for making these T-shirts, especially the one I'm currently wearing. I said go wrestling style for Banditland. I said yeet because of Jey Uso is one of my favorite wrestlers. So I'm going to hope to get the crowd when I come back, get back in the Yeet channel.
Yeah, and if I can get a John Cena T-shirt with maybe a Photoshop of him wearing a Bandits jersey or something for his farewell tour. You can have that created
if you want, Trev. I can have her do it for you.
How about that? Wouldn't that be a great idea for his farewell tour? You Photoshop maybe a Bandit jersey or something with maybe a Bandit hat on him or something like that, or maybe the Undertaker wearing something like something with the Bandits on it. I mean, why not? The possibilities are endless. Maybe a Ric Flair picture of him bleeding. And then him saying "woo" with a Bandits hat on. Yeah. I think that would go hard. Honestly, I think that would be sweet. But yeah, Tony, big win, 5-0. We're gonna miss you next week, but hopefully you're gonna come back to a 6-0 start. I mean,
that'd be great. I'll probably be listening to it. I hope
that would be a pleasant surprise. Coming back to hey, look, we're 6-0. Hey, a third of the way through the season, we have a perfect record, and we still haven't lost a game since March of 2024. How about that? Hey, Wave, what do you say? We got 3 words to end off this show, Tony, after a big 19. I love saying that. 19 goals. 19-14 against the Philadelphia Wings. Honky Tonk W. We got 3 words to leave the people with, Tony. What are those 3 words?
We're going to do it just like Chris Swinney would do it on every channel. Here we go.
Quentin.
1,
yep.
2, 3. Let's go, Bandits. Let's go. 5-0. How about that?
Chow down on those wings, Philly. Chow them down, baby.